And welcome back, everyone, to the Steve Finnegan Show here on Newsradio 1029 KARN. We are, of course, in day 16 of America held hostage by the Democrat Communist Party for the Schumer shutdown. But, as you know, on Thursdays, it is Opportunity Arkansas Day on the Steve Finnegan Show, where we have the great Jay Robertson from Opportunity Arkansas joins us to update us on all things going around here in the natural state. Jay, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks for having me. Good to be with you this week.
Yes, got lots of positive feedback from last week. So Jay, I don't know if you heard it or not, but the Walrus, a.k.a. John Bolton, has been indicted, 18 counts.
Wow, I have not heard that. So that's news to me. I've been busy today keeping up with legislative hearings here in Arkansas, but that's a big deal.
Oh, yeah, mishandling classified stuff. But, of course, usually you and I concentrate on things going on here in the natural state. And one of the things, the good things and positive things coming out of Washington and President Trump's handling of the economy is our economy here in Arkansas is strong and it continues to grow.
That's absolutely right, Steve. And now that I think you mentioned the other day about the income tax filing deadline, people
Yes.
are looking at taxes and, what we have to send into the government. And the income tax is an issue that we've talked about a lot here
Yes.
at Opportunity Arkansas, and getting rid of the state income tax has been a priority for us. And the thing that we hear a lot of times as an objection from the bureaucracy or the special interest is that, these tax cuts are going to hurt the economy. It's going to decimate state revenue. We're not going to have enough money to pay for what the government needs. And if you watch some of the mainstream media reports, you might be led to believe that, but the actual data tells a totally different story. So we got to report in on the latest numbers from this fiscal year. The state's economy is continuing to grow. We have a state surplus that is growing even faster than we anticipated. So the state's taking in more tax revenue than it budgeted for. And to us, that means it's time to send that money back to Arkansans. It's time to continue our progress, cutting the income tax, putting that money back in the paychecks of people who are working so they can spend it in our economy and we continue to see this kind of growth.
Yes. So right now, and I appreciate you helping me out with some of the research on this, revenue is up over $27 million compared to this time last year.
That's right. So that's about 4% above what we'd even forecasted. And to put it in context, so the state's already collected $2 billion total this year.
Mm-hmm.
Last year we had a surplus, so we had surplus revenue last year. We forecasted a surplus for this year of around $185 million. We're already $74 million ahead of that. And so despite all the questions and concern and hand-wringing that goes on, the truth is the state's not short on money. We're actually bringing in more than we planned, more than the state budgeted for. And so the time is now to continue the progress on cutting income taxes so that we can give a pay raise to Arkansans. The legislature has made progress on this the past few years. The governor has made progress on this, and the time is right for us to send that money back to taxpayers. They're the ones who've earned it, and that's why we've called for the legislature to continue making progress on this.
So here it is, halfway through October. Last year we had a surplus of $367 million. You forecasted $185 million surplus, and right now, since we are already $73.9 million more than expected so far. So do you think we're going to be actually on track after the holidays to see over a $300 million surplus again?
Well, it's hard to estimate exactly. We have economists in the state government their main job is to track these kind of things, and they publish these reports. The numbers that we've gotten so far are very positive, and it should give us plenty of room to continue progress here. We're starting to become surrounded by states that either don't have an income tax or have put their state on a path to eliminating the income tax. And that's why we've called for a plan for Arkansas to automatically reduce these income taxes. If we're continually collecting more money, that means that money should be going back to taxpayers. If the
Absolutely.
state's collecting more than it needs.
Yes.
So that's what we're calling for here.
And like, we learned yesterday that over 67% of all the property taxes collected actually go to the school systems and to pay the schools. And sometimes I just don't think it's not all public education, of course, but some of these districts, I don't think we're getting everything we should be for our tax dollars, that there is some waste, and that the school boards need to start looking at that. And I say that because the state of Arkansas also, you could probably tell better than I could, spends quite a bit of money on education here.
That's right. And so when we hear concerns about, well, if we cut taxes, there's not going to be enough money to fund education or to fund our criminal justice system, the reality is there's more than enough money to get the core things right if we're not focusing on spending $500,000 on this new program or $1 million to this grant or handout. There's plenty of money there to get the core things right, and that's why we should continue cutting income taxes so that legislators and policymakers prioritize the core functions of government. And it also forces us to take a hard look at a lot of this other spending to ensure that taxpayers are getting a return on their investment.
Absolutely. And I am sure President Trump has tamed inflation, but we still have severe inflation left over from the previous recklessness of the Biden administration, spending over $8.6 trillion is what they put on the national credit card in just 4 years, which is a significant amount of money. So I know there are people out there that want or wish that they had some more of their hard-earned money back that they could use themselves. So I think this is something that we're going to have to revisit, Jay, after the holidays when do you guys know the exact date the legislature will go into session in January for the fiscal session?
Yeah, so next year the fiscal session will actually be in April. So that's when they'll go in to set the budget for the next fiscal year. That's been moved this year to April.
Okay.
So at that time, we'll certainly have a much clearer picture of where the revenue numbers are at. But the takeaway here is that there's plenty of money for tax cuts. We need to not let off the gas here because, to your point, prices are still high. And when we cut the income tax, that's the equivalent of giving working people a pay raise. That money that was coming out of your check, all of a sudden your paycheck's bigger. This is popular. We've polled it. 61% of voters support this. And so the time is right, and we're optimistic that the legislature will continue making progress here to give money back to taxpayers.
I would concur with you on that. I, of course, being a member of the media, have access to lots of legislators. Let's put it that way. And most of them, I think, are concerned about their constituents, and I think they're concerned that we get the proper ROI, which is something we've all talked about on Mondays on this show. But Nick, I know you had a really super busy day today, and you're not going to be able to stay with us the whole segment here. But I'll give you the floor to close, my friend.
Yeah. So like I said, we focus a lot on the income tax because it's literally a tax on work. And as we know, when you tax something, you get less of it. But we also don't operate in a vacuum. We're bordered by two states, Texas and Tennessee, that have no income tax. Mississippi and Oklahoma both passed plans this past year to put them on a path to zero. Mm-hmm. And so if we don't continue the progress here, we're going to become a less competitive state. And so the good news is legislators have proven they can do it, and it's time for us to put us on a path to zero, give that money back to taxpayers, and put it back into the economy.
Absolutely. And I'll give you some ammunition that we, the veteran community, did. We pointed out that Tennessee, Texas, and Missouri don't charge taxes on military pensions, and that we were losing, we have some active duty at Camp Robertson and Camp Pike, and then, of course, a lot at Little Rock Air Force Base, and that these folks were moving out of Arkansas and taking that pension with them, and then pointed out, with the VA disability, plus, veterans are big business, in other words, with McClellan VA Hospital and everything here. And we were able to show the legislature the numbers. They were like, oh, yeah, we don't want to lose our veterans. They are hardworking people. They pay taxes. We'll cut them a break on their military pension. And that's also what they did with Social Security. So that's some extra good that we did get out of the legislature.
Absolutely. And, that same logic applies for every working person that's paying the income tax. They
Yes.
make a decision about where to work. And so you can read more about this on our website. We've got some polling, some information about how lowering and eliminating the income tax would benefit Arkansas at opportunityarkansas.org.
Thank you once again for being here with us today, and we'll look forward to having you back on next Thursday.
Sounds good. Thanks,
All right.
Steve.
God bless you, my friend. Take care.